all these young people are becoming Catholic of all unfashionable things. Like that's probably the most unfashionable.
Have you noticed what is unfolding right now in America? Not only are more and more young people discovering the Catholic faith, but even some of the most prominent cultural figures, people like Candace Owens, J.D. Vance, Lila Rose, and Tammy Peterson, have made the striking and countercultural choice to leave behind their Protestant roots and embrace Catholicism. So the obvious question is, why now? Why at this particular moment in history is such a moment taking place in America? To begin answering that, let us turn to Michael Knowles in this powerful clip.
This is why I think, the vice president is probably the most famous convert in recent years. And people, his political enemies, were always saying, oh, he's cynical, he's just changing his views with the times or whatever. I think, hold on, you're telling me a guy who had a tough upbringing, who graduates Yale Law School, wants to start, is in Silicon Valley, then goes back, he wants to launch a political career in Ohio. The way he thinks he's going to do that is by becoming Catholic? You think that's going to help you? No, that's like the craziest thing to do if you were thinking cynically or opportunistically. And I think this also touches on part of the conversions. We're beginning to realize that history didn't start in 1965. History didn't start in 1865. History didn't start in 1776 or even 1620. We're part of something that's much bigger and much broader and much more beautiful, and even just in our political order, we used to call it Christendom. Now we call it the West. And there has been an attack on that going back many decades now. I think of Jesse Jackson marching down Stanford, hey, hey, ho, ho, Western Civ has got to go. And people are beginning to realize, it's not that I just want to preserve my town or my 90s liberalism or my what. I want to preserve this great cultural patrimony that I've been given. And that cultural patrimony has to go deeper than just aesthetics. It has to go deeper than just abstract ideology. Cult and culture come from the same root word. So what you worship is going to define your culture. And so what's the bottom? What's the foundation? What's the ballast for all of that? I think people, even beyond questions of conviction of the Holy Spirit and rational arguments and all that, they're just saying, well, this thing's pretty sturdy. It's been around a long time.
As Michael Knowles points out, one of the most remarkable marks of the Catholic Church is its miraculous survival and enduring strength through the centuries. This unbroken witness has become a powerful source of attraction for countless young people, and their fascination can be understood through three key reasons. First, think about the world we live in now. Social media trends rise and die in a matter of days. Political movements collapse within a decade, and even friendships can feel shallow and disposable. In the middle of that chaos, Catholicism stands out because it's ancient, it's steady, and it's consistent. So it gives young people a solid anchor when everything else feels like it's slipping away. Second, our culture is drowning in moral relativism, competing ideologies, and the denial of absolute truth. But the Catholic Church has always offered a clear and coherent moral compass. So for young people who are sick of contradiction and empty slogans, that kind of clarity is like a breath of fresh air. Third, in an age obsessed with consumerism, cheap entertainment, and chasing the next thrill, the Church speaks to something deeper. Her liturgy is beautiful, her sacraments are profound, and the community she offers is real. That is why so many young people who are craving for transcendence, permanence, and a sense of identity are drawn towards the Catholic Church. With this in mind, the next clip from Michael Knowles becomes even more striking as he highlights one of the strongest arguments for the divine origin of the Catholic Church.
Belloc keeps coming to mind. He had this line, he says, he said it more eloquently. He said, I'm required as a matter of faith to hold that the Church is divinely instituted. But for those who doubt it, one proof of its divine institution is that no other group conducted with such knavish imbecility would have lasted a fortnight. Obviously true.
Yeah, the best thing I ever heard from a practicing Catholic in the last 5 years, there was no one around. It was a very close friend of mine, and he was going on about Catholicism. I was like, okay, but that Pope is I can't. I won't even tell you what I said, but it was hostile because that's how I felt. And he goes,
are you sure you're not Catholic?
Yeah. Well, it was the greatest thing ever. He goes, yeah, I totally agree. But he's not the worst Pope we've had.
Yes.
It was completely non-defensive. This happens.
It's like, let me tell you about the 9th century.
No, but I think that's right. If you want to win people over, don't be defensive.
Yes, totally.
Don't tell me that that what I'm seeing isn't real.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Of course.
I don't know that I've talked to too many Catholics about Catholicism. Maybe they all feel that way, but I thought that was just a wonderful response.
Totally. We have to remember that the Pope is fallible, except when he's infallible. And sometimes God gives us bad popes to make us really grateful for good popes. And the other point I'll mention on Francis, because, obviously I had some questions about the Francis pontificate.
Yeah.
I reverted during the Francis pontificate. This trend started during Francis.
Yes.
It might have been in reaction against many of the things that Pope Francis was said to stand for. I don't know exactly how it worked. That's above my pay grade. But you think of like the progress of the church and our whole civilization, and we think of it as just like a straight line. But I think it's a little bit more kind of like this, and the papacy goes to Avignon for a little bit, and there's some king is like arresting the Pope. And, it's like kind of a little bit more circuitous, but it's always pointed in the same direction.
The line from Hilaire Belloc that Noel cites brings to mind a story I once heard about a man preparing to enter the Catholic faith. He told his parish priest that he wanted to be baptized, but only after returning from a business trip to Rome. The priest encouraged him to do it beforehand, pointing out how meaningful it would be to experience Rome already as a Catholic. But the man insisted on waiting. Although the priest feared that what he might encounter in Rome could discourage him from converting, he respected the man's decision. What happened, however, was the very opposite of what the priest expected. The man went to Rome and saw it all, not only the beauty and grandeur, but also the corruption, politics, and the ugliness that critics so often emphasize. Yet when he returned, he was more determined than ever to become a Catholic. Astonished, the priest asked him, "Why?" And the man replied, "Father, if this church has managed to survive for 2,000 years with all that corruption and human weakness, then it must truly be sustained by God, not by men. That is why I want to be baptized." That is indeed a beautiful story, isn't it? Finally, I would like to conclude with what G.K. Chesterton said. He said, "The Catholic Church is the only thing which saves a man from the degrading slavery of being a child of his age." I hope this video is helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. God bless you.